Dead Art Studios paint and chat tonight. 30 minutes of paint and chat with me. I'm carrying on with the family figures painting that I was doing in the last paint and chat video, and I'm just going to carry on. I've been doing some in between, and today we're going to start off with ultramarine blue, and we're going to work on the centre of the painting here and bring up some thin bits in towards the orange with these little razor blades that you get from a scraper tool for glass scraping and cleaning and things like that. I use those, print it into the paint, and then I can do imprinting or scratching or pulling. Quite a few different techniques you can use. So I'm just going to put some blue paint onto this little lid here and get going. I hope everyone's okay and that life is treating you well. And the reason we're doing paint and chat really is just to provide sort of half an hour just to relax, and maybe you can do something creative too, or just sit and chill, or do something else. I don't know, maybe something like some stretching or yoga or something, I don't know, whatever takes your fancy. And it's just a slow paced bit of painting, making sort of progress on one of the more time consuming projects that I do. I do quick paintings as well, in like 10, 15, 20 minutes, normally on paper. So I've took a little bit on the very edge of the knife blade, scraper blade I suppose, and then I'm going to start at the bottom here and just start printing in. And if not much goes on, that's okay, because we're trying to get a bit more finesse now into this painting, a bit more detail. And so we don't want big random splodges going on, which is probably not as much of a problem in the early stages of the painting. And what I want to do is head up towards the orange there that's at the top of this sort of plant-like, I guess like a reed bed type setup. Setup's a bad word, isn't it? But yeah, I just want to break it up a bit and sort of head up with the blues as if there's some background shadows coming in and a bit more depth to it. I'm just going to tap away like that, coming from the bottom up towards the top. That's a good level of print. Now I want to be a bit more careful when I'm right up near the top, and I nearly did a sort of tree branch there, but actually I want to try and avoid that, I think, for this, and make it more grassland or reed like. So I don't necessarily want to be doing branches. A few crossing stems might well be okay. And I've been experimenting with different types of video for the channel. So if there is anything you do particularly like, or something that you feel doesn't really fit in, then let me know. I am trying to figure out what's the best sort of balance. And I did think it'd be nice to have a longer form, just little painting session really. And when I watch quite a lot of art videos on YouTube myself, and I have to say you don't see many of people just sitting down and painting. It's normally a bit more fast paced, and I can understand why that is. But on the other hand, it might be nice just to sit back and not have to watch too intensely. Just listen, glance across every now and again, and get on with something in your evening, whatever that may be. Okay. So I need to be looking quite closely now at where these are going, because I do want to finish this background. I've been doing it for a very long time. Not so much to finesse it, but mainly because I kept changing it and wasn't particularly happy with it. So I'm quite happy with the composition of everything at the minute. I've got sort of 3 main sections which I quite like. This might, at the bottom, might turn into a sort of subset one with a bit down here. Earlier on today down here I used some gloss medium and green, and when it went on it was really quite light, and now it's dried it's definitely very dark, much darker than when I was putting it on. And I think that's kind of okay, because I guess I did want dark. I would say that it looks a bit messier now it's dried than when it was wet, so I might come in and try and make that a little bit more tidy as well. Right, so underneath this ultramarine is, well, there's many colours, but it's predominantly carbon black at the minute. So I just want to keep it dark, but I do want different colours to be in there other than black, and I do want it just to reach up a little bit in towards the top and break it up a bit. And I am thinking about coming down. Let's see what happens if I do that with a bit less paint on it. Do we like that coming in, or is that breaking up the top? I don't really know. I might try a bit more, a bit of an angle, and see. And I think that's kind of okay, especially if I follow those lines that I've made down into the painting a bit more. They don't need to be super perfect. Now that one's a bit heavy, so I'll scratch that with a corner of the blade and create a slightly different effect. And I will come down again with more yellows and orange on the top of this. So it's not essential that it's perfect, but like I say, you can keep doing this forever. Just putting layers and layers, and when you get a mistake, adding another little bit, and oh, I'll just do it again and go over it, and then you make another small mistake. And you know, you do want to get to a point where it's just perfect as you put it down, or as close to. And of course the viewer will never know what you're talking about with all these tiny little marks that you're not quite happy with, and the orientations and slight bits and bobs that you're not really pleased with. They'll either like the whole thing or not like the whole thing, or some version of that. They're very unlikely to say, yes, I love it, but that microscopic line down there should be 2 millimeters to the left. So I have got a little cup of cocoa with me as well, and that's my drink of choice for morning and evening these days, but I especially enjoy it in the evening. An underrated drink, I think. Not a lot of people out there drinking cocoa twice a day. I did at one point think about starting a cocoa YouTube channel, trying out different kinds of cocoa, seeing which was the nicest. I think that would have had even less appeal than, less mass appeal than sitting and painting for 30 minutes. So that's quite a heavy line that went down there, and I'm scratching through it, and actually I do quite like the effect. So I'm going to bring it a bit further down as well and try and complete it so that it is part of the painting. Now what will happen is your acrylic will start to dry, and then this printing process will get more difficult. Imprinting, I suppose, rather than printing. Alright, let's see what we've got then. This last bit's getting a bit too dry to use. So what I'll do is along this horizon-y line here, I've been putting some ultramarine earlier, and I'll just drag some more of that just to use the last bit. And then when we feel we've done that, we'll get a little bit of tissue, kitchen paper, and give the blade a little clean, and then we'll move on to something else. Now, for the sake of variety, let's move on to the lower section, just where the smaller figures are, and this yellow bit here, which I suppose is supposed to be broadly floral. And to deal with that bit, I've got one of these tiny little sponges on a stick, and they came in it. I only really wanted one, a bigger one than this, and I brought the packet. I've got maybe 50 of the things, so I've got a good supply, especially since I've been washing and reusing it. I imagine I will not be buying sponges on sticks for a long time to come. Right, the colour I want is cadmium yellow. It's in here somewhere. Handsy yellow. Here we go. Clearly my favourite colour. I don't know why. It's not like it. If somebody asks me what my favourite colour is, I'm not saying cadmium yellow. I don't really have a favourite colour. I don't really go in for that kind of favourites thing. But just judging by how much I use it, it does seem to be my favourite colour. It's definitely a useful colour for mixing as well, isn't it? So, and then a little bit there, and then just dabbing on the edge. I don't want to go into the heavy bit. I'm going to put way too much on, especially on this later stages where I've already got handsy yellow down there, and I've kind of scratched into it to make a stem-like stems going up into a bed of flowers. And really with this now, I'd be happier if it was just pushing off on one side and making sort of highlights, or I suppose highlights when you're using a darker colour is the wrong word, but you know what I mean, accentuating an area rather than just putting a full circle of paint down. So we'll just sporadically put them down with no great plan to start with, and then it should become obvious where the rest need to go. Okay, there's some sort of white bits from lower layers, and I don't really particularly, I don't mind them showing through a little bit, but I don't want them there too predominantly, so I'll get rid of those. It's very good at covering cadmium yellow. I mean, the handsy yellow says it's opaque. I don't know if that means there's a translucent and opaque version of handsy yellow, or whether they consider it to be opaque as a paint goes, but the cadmium yellow definitely is very opaque. Go down towards the bottom bit here as well, just a bit more where the hands-on, just do some tiny little hints of flowers, because that bit, especially that bit straight through there, is not very well defined, and I think it's going to be sort of scratched upwards and contribute to the verticals that sweep through the whole painting. Really, it is a very vertical composition, and that's how I want it. So on this occasion, and I have found over the years that with my photography and then into my art and my painting, that, you know, the aspect ratio that you use has changed with time. And when I first started digital photography, it was all like I would only want to shoot in a traditional landscape ratio, and then now I use 16:9 a lot of sort of the 4K and HD screen ratio, so if I'm making videos. And then when Instagram was square back in the day, I was using just square for photos, and in many ways now, if I'm taking photos, I still think that's a preferable shape to use, even if you were going to hang them on the wall. And then with the advent of TikTok and portrait, I found myself actually quite enjoying everything being in portrait now. So I wonder what's next. Is there anything left? That's the question, isn't it? I suppose we'll just use a bit of everything. And certainly when I'm filming videos for TikTok, I have to switch the camera and do separate edits now for portrait to get the quality, and then when I'm out and about in the woods and stuff, then we're in the traditional 16:9, kind of not quite movie. I think movie's even wider, isn't it? Right, how's that looking? It's definitely looking all right. I don't want to overdo it, because I still want you to be able to see the layers below. That's a bit too pronounced, so I'll do that instead. Right, I think I might put a bit over here and here and here and here, and I might do a bit here, 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 and here. And then I might stop there with the sponge, and then I might use the rest of the yellow to put some verticals right in at the bottom where this slightly misjudged green is as well. Some very thin lines against it. See how that changes the colour. I mean, I have to say, if I'm being honest, I'm not that keen on that green, but it's there now, so we're going to work with it. And I've got a massive stack of board and things and canvas and all sorts of things to put new paintings on, and I've told myself, you know, you got to get paintings finished before you start new ones. There's at least 2 out there that have been started, and I'm refusing to let myself play with them until I'm well on the way to getting this finished. I got one of my other 30 by 40 centimetre paintings on my shop today for sale, so I did all the boring tail end photographing it and putting it on the website, so that was a win. So this one needs to be next. Now, where are we? There we go. I'm getting some paint down now. Those last couple of strikes didn't really work. Also in good news, I hit 100 subscribers today. A lot of that's coming off my shorts feed, because that's what I did for most of last year. I started doing a painting channel, and then I realised I needed to actually paint more before I could talk and paint. So that's what I did, and I just filmed shorts for most of last year, and I'm back now doing the longer form videos. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed and watches, whether that's in whatever capacity it is, really, passing by or returning. It's just nice to be able to show people your artwork and your process. And I was talking to my partner today about this painting and seeing how she felt about it and what she thought, what kind of progress I'd made on it. And we both agreed that there's not another one like it out there. It's definitely unique. But we both agreed that it is a good painting. It's got, I think everything's in the right places. The colours are working well. It seems to be saying something and giving off a potential story. So that's what I wanted from this one, I think. So that's good news. Right, with this very last bit, let's drag that down off of here, and maybe here, and maybe here, and maybe here, maybe just under this guy's armpit here, and then I've gone a little bit high there. So what I'll do is take my, I had 2 razor blades. Don't lose your razor blades. Well, I'll find it later. Oh, it was under my tissue all along. So I'm going to scrape that off a bit and just raise that. There we go. And there's a little bit up there that's gone a bit high. There. Okay, so now what shall we do next? I think we're going to do some primary cyans right in the middle here and give some sort of stem-like feel to the yellow that we've just done. So I'll find my primary cyan. That wasn't difficult. A lot of these paints I'm starting to get low on now. There might be a slightly horrendously expensive paint order coming soon, but it is a year since I spent a large amount of money on paint. So if you think of it in terms of your various subscriptions that you might have for software or Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything, it kind of works out as good value in a way. Same idea again, just gently touching on to create some verticals. Mustn't forget to drink a bit of the cocoa. Right. I'm trying to speak more clearly. I've noticed, watching back my YouTube videos, that I don't always speak super clear and I mumble a bit. So it's been really interesting to watch myself and listen to myself. I'm not sure I always used to be like that either, and I'm definitely capable of speaking if I need to. So I am going to try and enunciate better and be more clear in what I am saying. I suppose when you're painting and thinking about painting, it's easy to just start going, because you're not really necessarily giving, I mean, I am giving attention to the camera and the audience, but you're also giving attention to what you're painting. Now, they look too vertical to me. Let's go a little bit higher and see what it looks like in there a bit more, in the actual flower head area. That looks more reasonable. That's quite heavy. Let's do that there. That's it. That's not looking too bad. And I think I will do some scraping at the end and put some texture in by scraping with the corner of the blade. And I've been doing that a lot on this painting, and most of my paintings have got scraping and scratching in. And I'll carry on with that. And then you just add and add and add, and eventually it looks really quite blended and subtle. Not much on there. Right, some of these lines down here definitely need to be followed through a bit more. Here, here. And of course it's the morning when you come down and look at it. I leave it out overnight, and so it's there. I try and leave it out most of the day so that I'm just looking and getting ideas, and you don't want to be too quick to make a massive rash decision on changing everything, even though when I'm painting now I'll just do something and it might not be like, I'm like, oh, what have I done? I kind of wait till the morning before I make the final decision. So maybe, you know, I might be scratching a bit more on this area just to soften it a bit. We'll see. That bit is heavy, so I will scratch into that. There we go. Just cut in a bit to these various lines. That's a bit heavy as well. I've got a little sort of glob on the corner cut there. I think that's what's creating that. Okay, so we're nearly at the half-hour mark. I'm sure I will edit out a good 30 seconds of me doing silly things. So I'll carry on for a minute or two more. And then I'll wish you a good rest of your week. And I'll be back soon. Tomorrow I think I'm going to film digital art and chill. So I've got paint and chat, and then digital art and chill. And it's digital art and chill because I don't do it at the table. I do it on a comfy chair instead. Same kind of idea, but in Photoshop. And I normally create faces, characters when I'm in Photoshop. Not always. I just see what happens, but that's normally what comes out. So if you're interested in digital art at all, then definitely check out the digital art and chill. And then towards the end of the week we'll film something on me painting quickly on paper again. I've got an insane amount of paintings that I've done over Christmas that I need to put backing board on, you know, mounting board, and get it all ready to go on the shop and pick which ones are good for the shop. I've done the majority of that, but you know, I need to get them all glued and ready, and then photograph them and put them all on. So in some ways doing more of those in the same size and format is a bit of a silly thing to do, but I'll get through them all. I'll get them all up eventually. And it's a good way just to quickly do a bit of art without having to come back to this all the time, which can get a bit boring. Let's not pretend that things can't be boring. Things can be boring. I would imagine to most people this whole video is a bit boring, but to some people it might be relaxing or interesting, so that's why I'm going to do it. I am not expecting it to have widespread mainstream appeal. Right then, I think what I'll do is use this last bit of paint up here again, get some slightly different blue into it, and say thank you. If you would like to subscribe or like, please do. It'd be super helpful, especially at this point, so early in the journey of the channel. And this is Dead Art Studios. I'll see you next time.